So it's actually always a bit of a risk doing a design talk at a mainly development-focused conference. So I'm actually quite glad I've got as many beautiful people as I have today. And I did switch my phone off, but there's one thing I actually do every time I do a talk, and I like to take a picture of my audience. Why? Because you're so lovely people, and you always come to do it. You always come to see me talk, or some of you do. Some of you are new. So I'm going to load my phone up, and then I'm going to introduce myself a little bit. So my name is Chrissy Welsh, and I am the Creative Lead and Director for Health Tech over at Philips. And I do a lot of things at Philips, actually, but one of the things we're doing that we might be releasing to the public, we might not, but we're doing a design language system just now, and then I'm helping create that. So Microsoft got the jump on us, and they released theirs, I think, 1 or 2 weeks ago. Does anyone know about it? Anyone seen it? No one? Excellent. Who knows what user experience is, actually, before we start? One person. No, we've got more than that. Come on, raise your hand a little higher. I can't really see you. Who knows what user experience is? OK, we've got just over half the room, so that makes me feel a little more comfortable. So technically, this talk is for kind of relative beginners to user experience, so I kind of hope that it's OK. We were warned to make our talks appropriate for the audience and all the rest of it, so you'll have to bear with me a little bit. I have an old phone, so it's still loading. So I'm just going to start. It'll catch up with me at some point. So one of the things that's very important with user experience, or one of the things we always think about, now we get to start. So come on, it's come alive. All right. So can you give me a big, happy, cheery, I like hands. I like hands. Hands are good. OK, 1, 2, 3, go. You guys are so awesome. It's made my day. All right, so one of the things we do is we design for a whole entire journey and not just a single interaction. And a lot of people think when they think about user experience, you design on the minutiae, you design on the little itty-bitty scale, and then you think that doing that actually makes a whole. Actually, you need to think about it from the outside in and think about the entire places that people are going to be using your application, or service. Whether that is going to be on the mobile, tablets, as they're on the go, all the rest of it. And I'll cover that whole spectrum in a second. But that's basically, if you take one premise away from this talk, it's that statement designed for the whole journey and not just one interaction. So I start with the premise, and then if that's all you remember, you're doing good. And this is why, because we're not in this era of just sitting with laptops anymore. They're calling it the post-desktop era. I don't make up the terms. And that means that we are having to think not just about single interactions, but also about context-aware experiences and across multiple channels. That means if you are coming and designing, you can no longer design for one device and no longer design for one piece of software and one machine, unless, of course, you're designing for MR machines, which I do, and then it's one context, so ignore that a second. But we're designing for users that use it across multiple channels. And one of the things that's very important is that cross-channel experience is not responsive design. Can anyone tell me what that is, actually? Can anyone recognize the experience that's there or the brand that's there? Louder, come on. Starbucks. Do you think Starbucks experience lives in those applications? Yes or no, or shake your head, or nod your head. No. Starbucks experience is actually in the coffee, it's in their shops, it's in buying it online, it's making it at home even now. They have freeze-dried versions. The whole experience of their brand exists outside of the application design as well. So whenever we do design, and we talk about cross-channel experiences, we have to take into account the physical world and where you're going to use them. These apps are also, even for Starbucks, if you have your loyalty points or the rest of it, or you pay by your app, you're in the shop, you're physically there, you're getting your coffee. That's the whole experience when we're talking about it. And it's even if it's pretty, it's still not true that it just lives in there. So what is it? Actually, cross-channel experience has 4 elements. It's consistent, it's seamless, it's available, and it is context-specific. So if you hit these 4 markers, that's what makes something cross-channel. So by consistent, do you have to relearn what you're doing to be able to continue what you're doing? So if you can move from channel to channel without having to change your menu style or change your menu type, that's one element of your cross-channel experience. Seamless. If you should be able to complete a task across multiple channels. So if you are starting and stopping, buying your airplane ticket, for example, you can start and stop on an iPad, or you can save where you are on a mobile, or all the rest of it. You can actually continue the journey no matter where you are. So that's another element. Available. So you can actually pick the device. You should be able to pick up the devices you have and use them with the context of what you want to do with it. I cover some real-life examples as well, so it's not just about theory. You can actually have a look at what I'm talking about. And is optimized for the channel. So that means if you're doing something on mobile, and by mobile I mean like a tablet mobile, you don't just get this thin strip of content in the middle. It's actually optimized for the environment that you're using. Real-life example time. I love this. Amazon Prime. Who here loves Downton Abbey? Who here hates Downton Abbey? No one who loves or hates it. Great. I'm in the minority. I feel awesome about that. I love Downton Abbey, and one of the things I really love is that if I can start and stop no matter what device. So Amazon Prime recognized that they can do this for their customers. So they can start on their Amazon Fire, they can watch something, they can pause it halfway through because you're getting off the bus or something, or you're getting away from your house, and then I can resume whenever I'm sitting on the train, and I can watch the rest of the lovely people in the upstairs, downstairs environment of 19th century England. My computer's doing something weird. So, and another thing, let's have a look at how reading has changed for us. When I grew up, actually, all my reading was done on paper. Almost all of it, actually. School books were still jotters, and you covered them with wallpaper or wrapping paper. Does anyone remember that? Showing my age now, right? But reading actually looks more like this now, doesn't it? So no matter where you are, the context is that you can switch no matter the device. So you can read in PDF on your large screens. You can read in, doesn't matter the format anymore. You can pick it up on your mobile, your tablet. They actually have dedicated reading environments. It doesn't matter if the sun's shining on your Kindle, you can still read it. We've actually optimized the whole reading so that you can actually do this now no matter where you are. So context in choosing a channel. So if you know that your users use it mostly on the bus and then at home with nothing in between, or they use your application or service whenever they are mostly on the move, then you've got some things to consider. So there are 4 elements of context that you need to be aware if you're designing your applications. One of them is the amount of time that your users have. So if they are doing something else at the same time, then you have to also think about that. What they want to accomplish. It's actually, now it's much more easy to do something like make a big purchase on a mobile phone, but the chance of someone buying a car on a mobile phone is maybe something that you also need to think about. So the goal of what people want to accomplish, buying a flight, good. Buying their weekly groceries, possible. But buying a car, probably not. So the goal is also important. Location where they are, if they have 3G or not. Don't make people in the middle of the country do something on Wi-Fi. It's not going to happen. Although that did that, I'll tell that story later. But an attitude and state of mind. So I don't know about you, but I'm going to actually just tell you something. So if I'm at home and I'm on the sofa, the chances are that I will do what I need to do on my mobile phone, and I will not reach for my laptop because I am lazy and I am comfortable. And I've probably got like a cup of tea or something at the same time. So I'm like, I'm not going to get up. I'm just going to sit and do what I need to do. And I will do what I need to do, even though it might be better for me to do it on a laptop. Because of my attitude and where I am, I'm going to do it on a different device. I'm going to sit there on my sofa in my comfortable state and try to do what I need to do. I've done crazy stuff. Like I bought whole flights, like ... like a whole journey. Like not just like there and back again, but actually like real complex stuff. Well, I've just sat there on my sofa, like on KLM app, trying to figure it out. it would be easier to have done it on the laptop, but my attitude was way more important than it was to switch device. And that attitude was laziness. Anyway, I'm not obsessed with flights, so I'm just going to keep with the memento. This is an example of cross-channel user experience taken to the extreme, and this is Virgin. They have branded every part of the experience of someone traveling with them throughout the whole journey. And they've taken the whole context of that whole journey, so it doesn't actually matter. From the point where you start buying your flights, to getting your boarding pass, to going to a kiosk to get your, to actually print your boarding pass, to even getting on the plane and getting the screen that sits in front of you. The whole part of that journey, all the way through. And even the physical environments, if you ever go to one of their service desks, it's the biggest, reddest booth you've ever seen in your life. You cannot miss them at an airport. It's like the whole experience from start to finish is really, they've really thought about how you then use it. And it's not just about making it red. They've really thought consistently about start to finish what it means for someone to fly with Virgin. Unless you lose your bag, in which case you go to a big rig booth and try to find your bag with them. But that's also a branded experience. Another one who's done it, and these are native to Holland. Now, actually, I'll tell you a story. This is my first experience of a bank in Holland, and it's actually with ABN AMRO. I've lived here now 5 years, so we're going back a little bit. But when I first moved here, I had a check. Do you remember checks? They're the paper form of payment. Someone writes you an amount of money, signs it, and then you take it to a bank. There's a teller. They put it in. They stamp something. I don't know what they stamp, and then you give you a slip back, right? That's how it works in the UK. Does it still work like that? I don't know. I've not had one for a while. Checks. So when I went to Holland, I went into an ABN AMRO with my check, and I was like, okay, I'd like to open up an account, please. Yeah, sure. What kind of money do you have? I have my check. Oh, we don't do those anymore. They literally do not do them anymore. They are gone completely digital. And it got me thinking about their experience. So I was working in design at the time, so I had to look at how they've rebranded what they do now. And actually, you see that picture here, the one behind my head? That's actually one of their, who's from Holland here? Yeah, I was like talking to the converted. You already know what it looks like. But their branches look like your living room. They've got sofas, and they've got like own laptops open, where they don't run any special service. They run their online browser inside their laptops, inside their bank. And they've managed to get the experience of banking the exact same as if you're at home, as if you're in a branch. They decided not to make a branch like a branch. They decided to flip it on its head and make it like your house. So it's like if you walk into a branch now in ABN AMRO, it's like, why am I here? I've just a laptop and a computer, so I can do this in my own living room. And they don't even take checks. But even their ATM machines, that's over here, they look exactly the same as their website. And that's their website and all different kinds of devices as well. So they really try to make it one seamless experience. Even if you're physically in the environment with them, it's like being in your own house. It's actually very weird. You should check it out sometime. I've actually only been in an ABN AMRO office now twice the whole time I've been here in Holland. The rest of the time's been digital. One to set up my account, and I think the other time was something weird and random happened. And then I just went in, and it was pointless because I had to call the service agent anyway. So, who here still goes into banks, actually, out of curiosity? One person. You still go into the bank. Is it an ABN AMRO bank, or you just...
It's because they changed the pound coin in the UK, and some things still only work on the old one, so now I have to go into banks to change pound coins all the time.
So you're a pound coin lover. So you go...
It's just when I need to pay for parking and things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, it's weird, huh? ABN AMRO don't hold any cash either, so it's all their cash is in their machines. Yeah. I discovered that when I tried to pay money into my account. They're like, oh, we don't do that either. You have to go to the machine and put the money in the machine. That was also very weird. I'm wondering why they even staff them. I was like, what do you do if the machines are doing everything? What are we doing? Anyway, I'll keep moving it along. Otherwise, we'll never get finished. I'll just tell you stories about all my banking adventures. I used to work in banking. That's another story. Seamless cross-channel experiences. They are where we're going, so we're already living in a situation or a future We're living in the now, it's not really the future, but the present looks like this, and people are beginning to catch on that we don't actually want things to be different when we move from device or we move from environments. We want it to be the same. Same is very comforting. Same makes us feel like we want to continue on the journey, and we're more likely to complete a purchase, or we're more likely to complete buying a house if the experience is the same all the way through. And the reason we do that is it's got to be personal, it's got to be physical, and it's got to have some kind of social context around it. And that allows us to get us there. And there's two ways in which we move from the digital world into the physical world for these kind of seamless user experiences. There's because we need to, and because we choose to. So an example of needing to move into the physical world from the digital world is if you buy a movie ticket, you actually have to physically go to the movies to watch the movie, right? So if you go and buy a Bioscope ticket for Belle and the Beast, awesome, by the way, then you actually need to go into the cinema to actually watch it. And then there's choice. So that's actually, you have a choice of buying and getting it delivered, in the case of shopping online, or you have a choice to go to the shop. I actually, for example, if I'm shoe shopping, I love buying shoes. But if I'm shoe shopping, I buy them in person because I'm that weird in-between size. So like sometimes a 4, sometimes a 5, so 37, 38 for the Europeans. And it's like, yeah, well, either they flap around your feet or you can't get them in. So it's like, you have to physically be there. That's a choice I make. And there are experiences that need, so this is experiences that need users to move into the physical world. Real life examples. So California Pizza Kitchen. So this is an application that requires you then to move into the physical world. And I'm going to tell you some of the pros of why they were doing it, and then I'm going to take you through some of the cons in design and where they could have done it better. On the pro side, they actually embraced going into the physical world. So California Pizza Kitchen, available in California. Who's ever been to California and been to a pizza kitchen? One person? Okay, if you had the app, did you have the app? Okay, so it's basically like a loyalty app. You know, like one of those high advanced loyalty apps. So it starts like this. You get an email telling you that there is, it won't tell you the offer. That's very important. It'll just say, there is an offer at California Pizza Kitchen. And then you have to take your app, go down to Pizza Kitchen, physically. Then you have to check in your location. When you check in, you get the reward. You get an reward coming through in your reward section. So it says it there, you get $10 off $40. So if you spend $40, you get $10 off, so like 25% off. That's great. But to get that $25 off, you have to get the email to know that there's an offer. Then you have to go to the location. Then you have to check into the location on the app. Then you get the offer. And then you have to take the offer, and you have to show it to a serving assistant to actually get the offer put onto the bill. And then they have to verify on your app that you've received it. Can anyone tell me what's wrong with that? You could pick anything. It's too much, right? And why is it too much? Because they could have actually accomplished everything in the first step, which is here's $10 off $40 in an email, right? They made an app around a problem that didn't exist. And that's kind of the premise of where we're at with cross-channel user experience, in that if you do this and you really want to embrace it, like they really tried, but they failed because they didn't have the right mechanisms in place to actually make it work. It was just like people are going, why don't you just tell me in the email, and then I'll just go with my printout, and then the waitress doesn't need to tap an app. She can just literally take the bit of paper. Or even just even if you wanted to go digital, let's say you want to go paperless, right? Just send the notification through to the app, and then you've got it. There's no check-ins or anything. It's just done for you. So, I'll go through a more positive example. By choice. Home Depot. I'm going to tell you some of the reasons why I love Home Depot. Has anyone been to a Home Depot? I don't even like building that many things, but I just love going there. I'll tell you why I love it. Right. So let's say that imagine a scene. You are on your laptop, and you've just had that kind of a day, and you're like, I need a cordless hammer drill. That's what I need today, that's what I need, because it's been that kind of day. I'm going to put up some drywall. They do that in America, I think. And then you find the one you want. You can see it there. And you go, okay, so there's one in stock nearby. So this is where it starts getting really clever. So they do 3 things. They do stock, how close it is to you, and then they also give the address. And then they give the option to send it to you, pick it up in store. So that's the first stage. So if you choose to pick it up in store or you choose just to go to the store, there's always choice in there for you what you want to do. If you get it sent to you, very easy. If you go to the store, you're maybe better going to the one just a few miles away because there's 4 in stock there. There's only 1, so the chances are maybe someone's also had that kind of a day and they're going to go and get it before you. But this is where the real beauty kicks in. Let's say that you just dropped off that whole point of contact and you pick up the app and you're in the store. This is where it gets really clever. If any of you have ever been in a Home Depot store or any kind of building store, do you know how complicated it is to find anything? You walk in, it's like the IKEA of building, only they don't give you the aisles for anything. You're just walking around going, I think the screws would be by the nails, but I don't know where that is. You just kind of walk around in a little daze. But in this app, depending on the store, they will actually tell you the aisle and the quantity. They'll actually give you the location of it in the store, so you can go and pick it up. And that's where, when we talk about experiences in context, they know you're at the store, or you can say, I'm at this store on the app, and it will go and say, this is where it is for you. And it's all about understanding the context of where you are and what you need at that given time to actually get you there. And that's where design kind of meets understanding what users are doing at any given time, because they're not in the application, they're in the store, and that's where physical environments matter whenever you're doing software design in these kind of environments. So if we recap just a little second, so now that we understand that experiences go beyond just interfaces, there's an element of physicalness about it. We don't live purely digital yet. And we move between devices and contexts. We go between mobile and tablets and all the rest of it. But did you know that experiences now go beyond singular devices? So there's now a new thing called multi-screening. So if we're also designing or we're looking at applications or services, we also need to now think of multiple applications running either complementary or non-complementary. And it's now a phenomenon where we need to be aware of if we're designing applications that the chances are there are more than one device running at any given time. There's this notion whenever we're designing our software that people are focused and dedicated at any given time straight into what they're doing. People are not focused and they're not dedicated most of the time. We're kind of sometimes, and if we're focused on a particular task, we can get it done. But if we're browsing or looking or observing, then we are not focused. We're usually doing 2 or 3 things at the same time. And this is what it looks like. There is sequential usage. That's what we just discussed. That's going one device to the next device to the next device in environment. And then there's simultaneous usage. That's me on the sofa with my phone watching Downton Abbey at the same time while I'm tweeting. That's an example of unrelated activity at the same time. So there's 2 devices running. There's my Netflix or my Amazon, and then there's the actual phone device that I'm running a separate application. They're not related to each other, but I do them both at the same time. And then there's complementary usage. That's back to the flights again. I'll tell you a story about flights. Very interesting, just so you know. But this is where you could be using your desktop and your phone, so your laptop and your phone. And you could be looking up flights. And I do this complementary usage, and I'll tell you why. So if I look up flights at the same time, did you know that EasyJet changed their flight prices depending on your device? So if you're on the desktop and you're on the mobile, you can actually see which one's cheaper. So they're running these kind of experiments just now. So I would recommend anyone who's looking at flights or these kind of things that the flight companies actually alternate their prices depending on what you're doing. So 1, always clear your cookies before you even start looking for flights, because they'll track if you've looked at a flight and come back a few days later, they'll up the price. So clear your cookies before you even start. And the second one is if your device, you're actually much more likely, funnily enough, to pay extra on your mobile. That's a new thing. It was the other way around a few months ago. whereby it was slightly cheaper. I fly a lot, so trust me. But now there seems to be like some kind of switch. So there's this massive experimentation with flight companies whenever they're experimenting with prices. So simultaneous usage for checking flight prices, I would highly recommend it. So do your your flight comparisons, your Sky Scanner, and all the rest of it. Please do that, but also use your device at the same time. So if you've got your company, then go in to devices and see if you can get it just that $10 cheaper. Top tip. Right, so we also multi-screen by using more than one device simultaneously. So smartphone and television, it's the most common combination. We're actually, how many of us here are guilty of sitting with our phone and the television? Yeah, did we all realize that we were doing this kind of multi-device synchronicity? There's actually people out there trying to market on this by releasing complementary apps for your TV programs. So if you're sitting there watching something on Netflix, you'll get information about your program on your phone at the same time. The future's here, right? Then there is smartphone and laptop. I do this at work a lot of the time, so I usually have to, I'm usually talking to either some of my designers or developers on a chat program on my phone while I'm actually in a meeting call on my laptop. So usually I have to do them both at the same time. So it's kind of complementary usage, but it's for my work. It's just how I've managed to work my process. And then there's laptop and television. That's if you're watching a program and coding at the same time, that kind of idea. But it's good to be aware of it, that this is what it looks like, and be aware that actually this is what we're doing. We're multitasking and multi-screening at the same time. And if you're working in any applications that require some kind of final buy at the end, or some kind of purchase-based mechanism, it's good to know that most people will do their research on a smartphone before they even start, so they'll gather some information before they continue. Only 25% of people do it on their laptop, and tablet's actually really low. A lot of people don't do a lot of research on tablet. They use it for other things, other devices, but mobile phone is the first point of contact for people. So what does that all mean? It's like a lot of information, a lot of blah, blah, blah. Well, if there's any takeaways you can use in your actually useful pieces of information I can give you, it's actually understand the whole context of what a journey means, even if you're only designing an app for one piece of it. So back to flights again. Yay, flights. So a journey for a flight doesn't start with the app, right? You start at home. Then you go to the airport. It's a trip to the airport. Then you check in. Then you've got your boarding pass and security. Then you've got your time at the airport. Then you've got your in-flight entertainment. Then you've got your baggage reclaim. And then you're at your destination. Now that's a whole journey mapped out and one linear line there for you. Journeys aren't linear, but that's just one linear example of it. If you've lost your baggage, then it deviates, and then you have to go to baggage reclaim and get your stuff and all the rest of it, fill in a form. You get the idea. But if all you're doing is an app for check-in and boarding pass, then if you understand the context of where people are coming from, if you use some of the in-phone device location services, you can then give them information, you can give your users information on their destination. So if they land at their destination from the boarding pass application, you can then say, hey, it's sunny. Did you pack your sunscreen? It's just a little in-context information that you can use. It's an off-the-cuff example, but there are ways in which you can use this information to keep going. And if you're mapping an experience, like really mapping one, it can look a bit like this. And I'm putting this up there for no other reason than just embrace that your experience mapping, if you're ever doing it, does not go in a straight line, like the nice example with flights. Actually, most of the time, you have to take in exceptions, and what if they go off and do this or this? Actually, this is one of mine, and I've taken a client's name out, and it's one of our more simple ones. It's just a little story, a little banking scenario, and it's about where they get their offer from, where they start from, where they continue, and where they finish. So this is about experience mapping, where they are in their journey, what devices they're using, and optimizing for that particular flow. So that's an experience map. Who's ever seen one before, actually, an experience map, or used one, or made one? Yeah? How did you find it, actually, making your map, or using it?
Well, we made it basically initially the designer.
Yeah?
Looking at our work and we went through sit-down testing, then it branches geometrically.
Yeah. So that's the other thing I don't talk about in this talk, actually, is testing. Testing is very important for your users. So they'll tell you where you go in your journey and what devices you use. So this example here is built actually on the testing that we did. We had all the devices and we asked lots of questions. But yeah, you're right. Testing is very important. And this is just one slide that I threw in here because if you're ever designing applications, this is exactly what I don't want you to do. So if I can just throw this out to anyone who's actually building applications. This is a screen dump that I made, and I was reading a lovely article, and then I got halfway through my article, and then this happened. Do you want to sign up for this newsletter? And I'm like, no, I'm reading my article, man. I don't want to sign up for anything. I'm halfway through. So when you close it, where I was in that flow of reading was gone, and it went right back to the top. So I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. So then you like scroll down, they have to like scan and read and find where you were. And I'm like, guys, if you're designing anything, if you're building anything and someone tells you to do this, don't do it. No one appreciates it. No one even wants it. I mean, if you're putting a sign up, put it at the bottom when someone's finished or put it at the top before they start. Do not interrupt a user's process halfway through and say, here, sign up for something. Just while I've got the people who build stuff in the room. And doing it right, actually doing it right requires cross-discipline collaboration. That means you cannot do it alone. And that's something that we begin to realize whenever we look at cross-channels, because a lot of the time, and I don't know if you work in businesses like this, but I used to work in businesses where we had a whole vertical in charge of mobile. And then we had a whole vertical in charge of tablet. And sometimes they wouldn't get along with each other because they wanted different things. And then we had a whole vertical in charge of this is what the desktop is doing. And then we had sales. And then we had blah, blah, blah. It goes on. And the problem with building businesses like this is people don't operate in these silos anymore. People are not like that. We like to chop and change. We like to flow across the whole spectrum. So whenever we're designing, we really need to work with those owners of these verticals and say, hey, it's important that we work together to make this because you don't live in isolation anymore. Perfect example is if we take the shaving app from Philips, getting a bit political now, because that's where I work. It's a mobile app, but it touches on everything. If you buy any extra parts from the mobile app for the shaver, you're actually hitting other businesses as you go along, other verticals, which are no longer look and feel the same as where you started from. And it's a very jarring experience. So that's one of the reasons why we're building this design language system. I'm trying to align these verticals, and it's a hell of a job. So if anyone's doing it, I know what it feels like to try and get lots of people to cooperate together. But you will need them if you're working in any kind of corporation that's built like this. So one takeaway. So design for the experience, not the channel. And we're no longer designing just for the web. So that's web is dead, all that kind of stuff. And basically we might. That's a hell of a statement to end on when your computer's like flickering, isn't it? It's like, ooh. Your brand is as good as my last poor experience with you. That's a true fact. You can take that away and talk to your business about it. Because if you're making something that breaks, or you went into you get the user test results and the designer hid it from you, and suddenly it hits you at development at some point, you're like, what the fuck? Basically, you're only as good as the last thing that someone looked at you for. It's great that 1 year ago you were on top. If now it's a pile of crap, doesn't matter. Now it's a pile of crap. And I'll take questions if anyone wants to ask me anything. Nothing. Thank you.
In your examples, you showed both mobile applications,
Yes.
like native apps, and mobile websites. Do you have any opinion on what might be better for considering experience-wise and cross-design user experiences?
It depends on where and how you expect your users to then interact with you. If I just take that to an extreme example of my own, if I've got nurses working on MR machines, which I do, I don't expect them to work on a mobile. I expect them to work on a dedicated MR machine. So it's all about expectation of use as well. So if people are at Home Depot, they're not going to take their laptop out to look up the aisle view. They're going to take their mobile out and have a look because they can hold it in one hand. So the context of where they are and what they're doing is way more important, I think. That's how you pick the appropriate channel for a situation. You take the situation and you match it with satisfying those user needs. Anyone else? Nope. Yep. You can always get me on Twitter. So if something occurs to you later on and you think, hey, what about this situation? Or what do I do because I've got X, Y, or Z? Then just tweet me. I'm pretty friendly most of the time. Chances are I'll reply. Okay. Anything else? Okay, it's a tough act to follow because it's just before lunch. So let's go eat something because I know you're all hungry.